newsflash thing comes in and stuff. Frankly, I've been wanting to adorn some of the speech with some of the verbiage of newsreaders, the Fox blonde ladies. So, in fact, it's in the bill. The programmers just haven't put it in yet, but we have some of these. This just in, jackpot. Okay, so we have some performances like that. You know, breaking news, super jackpot. And that makes more sense.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we're giving our way on this because we're not leveraging this off of a $100 million 2-hour movie. And we're inventing fun and without $100 million. So it's a stepwise iteration to finding it. And you know, we put this in and we go, oh, the jackpot's nice, but somehow it's not nice enough. Or your issue, which is well taken. Who is this lady and why is she talking to me?
I get that a lot.
Yeah, I get that sometimes too. Actually, I've got my conference voice now. So if I retain it, I probably will record the first 5 cuts of my Barry White cover album.
Nice. Okay, another question.
In Germany, they're walking around looking always on their iPhone. How can such persons find this game to play?
Good question. I guess, will the game in the future let us know where it's located so that somebody can know where there's a game nearby to play it?
Well, the functionality of the phone right now, we're taking baby steps. There's certainly an awful lot of we can do with it, and people have been offering all their ideas, most of which we've thought of. And, you know, it's really easy to think of ideas, it's a lot harder to implement them. What we have in there today is very basic functionality. Certainly there's all kinds of expanded things that we can do. It would be great if we had an app that not only told you where to find a game, but maybe told you that a new game. Go play Jersey Jack game number 4 that just went on location. Okay. So for now, it's a cute little gimmick. I hope you get to try it out. If you haven't, make sure that one of us. Right. Right now, the phone, if you haven't played it, you get to control the flippers, and you can change the weather. Changing the weather does nothing except look cool right now. Eventually, it will be inhibiting the bad guys who are attacking you during multi-ball, because obviously bad weather slows you down, and it's sort of in keeping with the whole theme of natural disasters and bad things happening. And we are also demonstrating that it keeps a profile for you so that the game recognizes you. It says, hi Jack. It actually says.
Don't say that in an airport.
You're all right, yeah. Okay. And it keeps high scores. And certainly there's all kinds of other things we can do with it. I can't make any promises because sometimes time is limited, resources are limited. There's all kinds of ideas we have for it.
I have a question to the only female of the team there. How did you become a mechanical engineer? And I see the figure over there. It looks very solid. I think it's a great job. Did you do it? The figure that's moving around, the person. Did you do that, or what is your favorite thing you did on the game?
I would say, well, first question. I have been a mechanical engineer for the past 16 years. For 12 of those years, I was designing slot machines. So I was fortunate enough to join these guys in February of this year. So I worked on the phone. I worked on the phone, so that's kind of like my favorite right now, because it's clear, it's plastic, and it's very colorful.
Next question. Yes, this gentleman. You hockey fan?
No. Whose crazy idea was it to put a camera on the games and have it take a picture of the player?
He's sitting next to you. I'm right here. I'm right here.
I like that.
I like that you like that. Thank you. Go Phillies. Flyers. I wanted to see if you were with me. Okay,
I
no.
don't have a team anymore, but
Yeah. Is hockey still a sport? Okay. Never mind. Moving right along. Good thing I'm not back in Vancouver where I was a few weeks ago. But it is a sport. It's a rough sport, just like pinball.
So obviously, there's been a lot of pinball machines, and mostly they've all been licensed. And this is different change of pace with being unlicensed. I guess my question is, what were the challenges that came with deciding to go to an unlicensed deal?
You start that.
Yeah, I think I touched on this a little bit last night for a minute or two, but an unlicensed theme is a completely different animal than doing a licensed theme. To the uninitiated person who doesn't do what we do, you think to yourself, oh, it's just another pinball machine. But with a licensed theme, you're starting out with, as David just said, $100 million movie production. You get to get a lot of their assets in regards to art and music and just plain old recognition in the populace of what it is they're buying. In an unlicensed theme, you've got to start from scratch. Somehow I have to come up with a theme that you sort of instantly can grab onto, and say, oh, look, this is kind of interesting. If I do this thing over here and this thing over here, something cool will happen. And the key takeaway from all of that for, again, everybody here has, who hasn't done this before, we've got some new people, but they've learned is that doing an unlicensed theme is easily 10 times harder than doing a licensed theme. Because we have to invent all our assets. We had to, the city that you see in the background took artists on 2 different continents to make happen and, and to do what it does. And then it took the incredible programming efforts of the guys on my left, Ted, and his team to make that whole thing move around and do what it needed to do. We're a pinball company, we're not a video game company, right? Although now that we do what we do, we're becoming a partial video game company. So just the takeaway I think for everybody at Pinball Expo this weekend should be that when you do an unlicensed theme, it's easily 10 times harder for us to pull off than it is to do a licensed theme. And it's a lot of fun, but boy, it just, everybody in this line will tell you how hard it was.
All right, so that's the hard part. The good part about it is it lets you do everything you want to do, right? If we were doing a Hobbit game, why would we put a camera in it? Because how does that fit into the theme? And we certainly wouldn't have selfie mode, right? So we can, especially with a humorous theme like this, we can come up with reasons to put wacky stuff in. So it gives you that flexibility, but with that flexibility is the difficulty of, actually filling the whole box. So it comes and goes. The other nice thing is we don't have to go through approvals. Right, JP? Yeah. So when we do something, What's that? Right, yeah. But we don't have to submit it to Warner Brothers and say, is this okay? And they say, no, you can't put a pinball in a chase scene with a bunch of hobbits and dwarves. And we go, but it'd be cool. But you can't do it, sorry. Right? We can do those kinds of things when we, but especially the stuff that turns out humorous or interesting looking. And we don't have to worry about somebody saying something wrong. Right? Even the speech for the pinball-specific speech in Hobbit had to be approved, so that it wasn't out of character for talking about anything in Middle-earth. So there's that freedom at least.
Yes, hang on 1 second.
Just an add-on comment to that. Jack, you mentioned yesterday that the Hobbit, because of the licensing, something had to change because something had expired, and so things had to change. That's another thing is you can take this game wherever you want to go into the future without having to worry about those kind of things.
That's true. Everybody knows when you have a license, everything needs to be approved. We couldn't do T-shirts for The Hobbit or Wizard of Oz because we don't have a license to make a T-shirt. Even a T-shirt with the image of our pinball machine legally could not be put on a T-shirt. Even though brochures would have to be approved, everything has to be approved. They own the images, likenesses, and those rights. So you have to abide by that. And this way, some people might think that doing an unlicensed game is less expensive than doing a licensed game. And while I don't think our accounting team has figured it all out, I'm going to tell you that that's really not true because you don't have anything to work from, right? You guys would, that's what they're saying. You have to create everything. So while you have certain advantages, it's always nice to be able to create your own intellectual property that you possibly could use later on. And this game, I expect it to be very successful. And who knows? Maybe we're building this game again in a few years. So you never know. Never say never. Question? Yes. I feel like Phil Donahue. Remember that guy?
I've noticed the game has some really nice and very attractive CGI, and I was wondering if I could learn a little bit about the people and who made it and the software that they used.
Question?
So, are you referring to how it's rendered on the screen, or the modeling? So there was a modeler who modeled most of the buildings, the custom buildings. I textured all the buildings. John actually gave me a sketch of all the buildings, or give an idea. You see that now in the bonus screen. So from that sketch, we started modeling all the buildings and textured them, and eventually rendered them in Cinema 4D, which is packaged. So eventually, they're just stills in the game being rendered out or rendered on screen by the programs. And the animations are mostly done in After Effects. That says something too. And so, and the background was hand painted or Photoshop and painted by an RO artist. And that's also a flat image projected on the back. But it was 3 people who worked on this. Not a Pixar team of 30, 40 people. Well, that's visible. 2 years ago. That's fun job to work on. So it's totally different than The Hobbit, where we use just video and motion graphics. So got to explore 3D again.
Okay, next question. Be back.
I have an easy question, hopefully. Can you briefly talk about the hardware, the CPU? I mean, is it using the same hardware that was in the last Jersey Jack game, or is this game requiring more horsepower?
The hardware is exactly the same as it was in the Hobbit. We did upgrade the motherboard between, well, the Wizard of Oz motherboard went end of life, so we had to go to a more powerful motherboard because the floor is higher. But it's exactly the same as it is in Hobbit. At some point it may change and it'll get made with a faster one in the future. But everything, I think, technology-wise, is pretty much the same as it was in Hobbit.
Okay.
Was there any consideration given to making this a wide body game?
No. Joe, what do you say?
Heresy. For me. Not for the company. So let's be clear about that. Listen, you all know my games have been on both sides of that fence. And I've been successful on both sides of that fence. I really prefer to work in standard body pinball machines because you don't have to worry about the dynamics of the ball filling up the space. What does that mean? It means that in a wide body you end up with these hideous problems where the ball starts to float around on a playfield. Whereas in dialed in, if you've played the game this weekend, the ball is flying. And I just felt like it would be a bad idea at this point in pinball history for me personally, to do that. I really wanted to do the Williams-esque kind of thing, right? So, and I think it turned out okay.
Great. Yes.
So first of all, I want to really congratulate you guys. I own all of your machines. I've owned machines going back all the way to the 90s when I started collecting. I own almost all of Pat Lawler's machines, except for the very first two that he designed. I think you're a great designer. In terms of the licensing issue, first of all, I'd like a show of hands for the people that were here yesterday for the unveiling. How many people, when you first saw the unveiling, were a little bit disappointed? Okay, so I was actually, and I noticed a lot of other people in the audience were. But, and I've seen comments on Pinsuck already that are very, well, you know how that goes. Now, I played the game, of course, and it's awesome. But how do you guys plan to do anything different in terms of marketing your game or putting your game out there than your first two games? Because you may have that element of getting over that licensed theme part to start with.
So I guess I'll answer that question. I'm a believer in the product talks to the customer. And I'm a believer in the people that work for the company, design the game, because they love games more than anything. And they're players. So I have to have trust and faith in what they do and what we present to the customer. Okay? Now, having said all that, we can go back knowing that there were things that people doubted us about, and I think all the doubts we've met and we've exceeded that. I think pretty much everybody here could believe that and agree to that. I think if we said a year ago, if I was standing here And I said to you, well, next year I'll be here with Pat's game, we'll have 5 of them and everything like that. I think we're over that kind of stuff. I said that last night. We want to just show what we're doing. We don't want to say what we're doing. I don't want to bring a game that you can't play. I don't want to tell you we're going to do something else. We're already working on game number 4 and game number 5, and maybe it's licensed and maybe it's not. But I think what happened, we're living in a world where people want instant results to everything. And they make instant judgments, and they make decisions based on somebody else saying something. If somebody says a restaurant's bad, I may not go there, or I may go there. If somebody says a movie's bad, I may go to the movie anyway. I may like the movie, right? We're all very discriminating consumers, and we kind of know what we like when we see it. Pat, with this game and the team, they had me at hello. I fell in love with it, because I see what it will be, because part of what it will be is what I dreamed it would be before we even had a company. If you could follow that twisted thought process. But that's me. So, what you'll see roll out in the next few months, I'll be on the road with these games. Some of them are going to New Jersey tomorrow night. My son and the guy that runs the factory, they're driving here. They're going to pick up 3 games. They're bringing them back to New Jersey. Saturday, we have the Buffalo Pinball guys. Steve is going to be there. Steve Bowden is going to be there playing it. We're going to get a great video of it. You're going to see what it does. We'll have one at the Silver Ball Museum. I'll be down at Free Play, Florida. We'll be down in Napa. I'll be going to Australia for 10 days. I'll be in Germany. I'll be all over the place. Because I knew when we did an unlicensed game that people have to see this. And what I said for years was, I can't tell you the title of the game, because if I tell you the title of the game, it's not going to help you know what the game is anyway. And we could have called the game anything, right? A rose by any other name still smells the same. It doesn't matter what the name of the game is. I don't think so. I mean, I think if there was some of these social media, which put us in business, so it's not that I don't like Pinside, I love Pinside. Let everybody have an opinion, let everybody decide what they want to do, and it's all healthy. When people stop talking about you, that's when you really have to worry. It's not that they talk about you or criticize you. We get criticized, we don't delete people off our group or our Facebook page. I respect your opinion, and we learn from it. When we unveiled The Hobbit, it wasn't as good as we could make it, so we went back to the drawing board. This is not that kind of game. This is a great game from a great designer and a great team and a company that believes in a product so much that we're out there, we're innovative. We're not taking a design from 10 years ago and putting a 50-year-old theme on it and packaging it up. And that's not a criticism of Stern. I was the biggest distributor. I love those guys in that company. I think they're great, I really do. I want them to build great games. I want everybody to build great games. Because competition makes us better. Stay classy with the whole thing, really. Well, what's wrong with that? Live and let live. So, are we going to change it? No, I don't think so. We're going to make it better because the software isn't done. And as you get further into that game, I'll tell you what, it shoots really smooth. It shoots beautifully. That game shoots beautifully. I see all the heads nod. And there are games out there where the geometry just doesn't work. You could hit a flipper and it's going to hit a dead post somewhere, or you're never going to get the ball up the ramp. That's not this game. This is an amazing game that's going to be part of everybody's collection. And I'm very proud of it. So I appreciate that. Thank you. There's real passion in this company. The money is important. They need to make a profit one day. But just making money without passion for what you do, go do anything else. This is not what it is. This is a very, very difficult industry. It's a very difficult product to build at the right level. And we're doing great. I'm really proud of everybody. Next question. Oh, look, you're going to make me run?
So there's a significant...
They have a big insurance policy on me, so something happens to me.
So there's a significant dichotomy of people out there between those who want to share their entire life on Facebook and those who are very security conscious or paranoid. And now you're putting a camera in a game, and I believe there's talk of online play and remote two-person play and things like that. Have you taken that into consideration, and what kind of plans do you have to satisfy both types of people?
What's your pin side name? Oh, okay, cool. You're one of the good guys. No, everybody's a good guy. You guys, listen, you're already writing that already now. Jackson did. Who's going to answer that question?
There we go, okay. There's a long and a short answer, and I'll give you the short one. We talked about that early on. We talked about the thing where we were putting the camera in the game and that there would be security concerns. Some people would think that, you know, we'd be sitting back in the offices at JJP watching you wander around in your underwear. That's not true. And one of the things we're going to do with the game before it finally ships is we are going to ship the game with a little flap that you can put over the camera. So if you feel like you just don't want that thing staring at you all the time, or that, you know, whatever, for whatever reason, and we understand that, okay, we totally get it. There's going to be a way that you can put a little flap over where the camera is, and then it obviously can't see you, and it's going to fit in with the artwork, and it's all cool. So, you know, yeah, we thought of that.
Would we electronically disable the camera in a setting in case, let's say the game's on a location and somebody covers it up and they pull that off?
The software will have a way to turn off the camera if you want to. You can turn it off. And if worse comes to worse and you still don't trust us with the flap and with the disabling the thing, I suppose you could always go in the back box and unplug it. But then you wouldn't get to take your own pictures playing pinball, and what fun is that?
Steve, you have a question.
I was just wondering if I could ask Mr. Yowsey. I know we talked briefly, and I was wondering if you said there was quite a bit of challenge in the playfield artwork, which is my favorite part of the game so far, and how smooth it is, and how you would say you'd run into some issues where you had to do different things with the software and to get the colors the way you wanted them. I was wondering if you could tell the folks, because I found it very interesting.
This is the first play field that I painted at 300 PPI, and it's almost all painted. So I had to buy a new computer. As what it came down to it was crashing constantly. I had a pretty fast Mac, but not quick enough. So so it just speeds up the workflow. I don't know if that addresses exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting the way it isn't the same on every game, and I know that for you, you were telling me that it was a new challenge because it had been a while to do, and it was a different process, and I just was wondering about it because it seems so smooth compared to some of the things you see.
Well, I think part of that is the printing. We could do that. We have coarse screens on older play fields, so you had to have really bold, thick lines. We didn't have the detail in the printing, so now we don't even need a key line to trap. We put it in there just because we like the way it looks, but the next one might not have it. So we're changing. We're changing with the technology.
I think it's beautiful. A lot of great color.
Hi, I have a quick question about the telephone syncing technology. Is there an app you have to download? Is it iOS, Android? Is it Bluetooth? What's the details of that?
All right, JT is a little shy, but I want to give him a shout out because he's the one who made the phone work. JJP, since February? March? No, okay, anyway, okay, I thought it was after Christmas, but he caught on fast, and he had some great ideas. He also made the camera work, and I think it turned out really well, being able to find the face in the field, and the South Field one comes out great. Yes, you have to download an app. We'll put a QR code up in the track mode. Say go download the app from the App Store. Right now we're using Bluetooth for the connection, in order to avoid all the difficulty with pairing, the Bluetooth information is contained in an NFC sticker underneath the glass, which works really well on Android. I'm told there may be some technical difficulties with iPhone, which we will tackle at some point. We'll probably let some outside firm pick up where we've left off on the prototype to tackle those difficulties. But we won't have to do any of that fancy pairing and everything with this is kind of a pain in the butt with Bluetooth. You just put the phone down on the glass. If you have the app installed and NFC turned on, it launches the app. Things connected. We change the LEDs on the apron there to let you know the state of the connection. They go from blue to purple. We're not using red and yellow because those are bad colors. That would tell you something's wrong. And green, when you can use the phone, in multi-owners, when you use the phone, the lights start thinking green, you can pick it up and do something with it. Or you can completely ignore it. You don't have to use the phone, okay? For all of you doubters out there online, you don't have to use the phone, okay? But it's kind of fun to play with it. If you haven't done it, try it. And then there's a few little incentives for getting people over that hump, like being able to do the player profile and for it to recognize you. So you don't have to enter your initials when you get that high score, right? It'll already be there, transfer from your phone over to the game. And then there's a couple of incentives during gameplay that you can only do with the phone, but it's not that big of a deal. So it's not like guess what? This game is absolutely no fun if you don't connect your phone to it. There's none of that, right? We've already thought of all that, so don't worry.
Pat, I've noticed in some of your older games you have the button. Is this the button now, the phone?
Yeah, he asked if the phone was the button.
What's the button?
To the people who don't know, if anybody knows. So throughout my career, John and I, when we've teamed up, anytime we do an original theme, we make sure that there's the button in the back glass. It's usually a red button on a handle. If you look at Whirlwind, there's a guy in a truck that's got the button. You can go and look at all the other games. The button's always in there somewhere if it's not licensed. The answer to your question is there is a button in the back glass if you look really close. And it's hidden in a dark corner in there, but the button is on the back glass. And so no, the phone's not the button. But also if you go into the comic we gave you last night, if you look in the comic on one of the panels, there's a button on somebody's desk. So, and that's we've been telling people all today so that everyone understands what you've been playing is only about maybe 20% of the software that's going in the game, okay? And ultimately, there's an evil character you get to deal with, and you get to play this thing that you see on the lower part of the playfield called Armageddon, and that's coming. We're getting there. And if you can imagine how busy that playfield now is, imagine what something we call Armageddon.
Okay, next question? Yes. Man with the voice. We all have a voice, right?
Just simple question, when do games start shipping?
When they're done. Well, you know, the thing I said is the second quarter of next year. So that's me saying, let's see, January, February, March, April, May, June-ish. No, but you know, we want to be able to ship. We have, I think, Steve, we've started ordering parts for dialed in, I believe.
We're making sure the bill of materials nailed.
Right. Okay. He's making sure the bill of materials is dialed in. You said nailed down, but I meant dialed in. Nailed in is the follow-up to this one. Nailed down.
The key thing is that the game is going to ship complete. Okay?
Software complete.
Right, software complete. When we ship dialed in and you get your dialed in, you know, you're going to get a complete game. You're not going to have to sit there and worry about and will they ever show up with the rest of the software? There's going to be no doubt you're getting a complete package.
Yes. Next. Yes. Ryan Mulberg, one-time customer, military, marathon runner, great guy.
Questions for the row. What's your favorite shot or mechanism in the game?
Guy sends me postcards from everywhere around the world, but he sent me an MRE one year.
Mine's not a single shot, it's a combo. I love shooting up the center shot, and then where it feeds you up a flipper, and then shooting the side ramp. I find something just completely satisfying about that combo, and especially when lock is lit.
I don't know yet.
I like the left ramp because I can actually make that shot. My favorite device would be the phone, I guess.
I don't have any time to play the game. All I'm doing is programming. But I do want to tell a little bit of a story. As of about a week ago, that's when these 5 games existed, and they're all teamed up or lined up right outside my office. And since the first one was functional, people like Mike have been coming up all day long, playing right outside my office. Now, it's a little distracting, but it's really rewarding that even the people inside the company, hey, I want to play this, right? Mechanical. Ilana's up there playing, and then I'm listening to my mom, kind of corner of my ear. Hey, they're in this mode, they're doing that. Oh, there goes another jackpot. And so I can tell that people are having fun. So for me, I like watching people have fun. But my favorite part, I guess, of the device is the way the camera turned out. And at first, we're like, what are we going to do with it? Yeah, camera, cool. What are we going to do with it? We're going to take your picture when you get a high score or whatever. But it really turned out pretty funny. I think that's another thing to keep in mind, that we're trying to play into humor here. The reason that there are things like drones and a camera with selfie time and a phone in there and a 24-hour news station is it's all like sort of cliche modern pop culture right now. That's what to keep in mind. It's not about the phone. It's just about all that stuff that's sort of ordinary today, but it's a little not so ordinary in this game.
And I think pinball has always been, original pinball has always been a reflection of what was going on in pop culture and society throughout all the years. If you look at the artwork or game themes, it traveled all the way down time. I mean, when was the last time you saw a pinball machine that had a bowling theme on it? Not that nobody goes bowling, but I don't think we make a bowling pinball machine. It was really popular and it was a theme. Next question. Yes. You again? Sure. You get a discount for 5 questions.
That's good. I have 5 questions. No, I have a question to you. Did you think about contacting major mobile phone companies or telco to go on fairs with this game? Because I did this with my company with a completely different game, and the people going to a fair, whatever they're bored, they like to play pinball, and I think it would be a great idea. I will ask my bosses at Nokia whether they want to go to the next fair in Barcelona and bring that game, because I find this really a cool idea. It would be cool marketing for pinball and for them.
Exactly what he said. Yes, I've thought of that. Of course. Stay tuned. It's game 3. No. Yeah, everybody knows I'm an Apple guy, disciple of Steve Jobs kind of thing, and there are a lot of phone tie-ins here, obviously, but even though it's not a game without a phone, technology is the thing. So you never know. People may approach us, we may approach somebody else, but right now we're working to make this the greatest game ever. So possible. Well, I'll let it happen.
Just wondering if you've given any thoughts or on like a 3 model type machine, like three different models, like Pro, Premium.
Well, yeah. I mean, we usually do standard and LE and something else. This game will have a standard game. Didn't announce it. I think there's a lot that we announced last night. Typically, to me, a standard game is stainless steel trim, no Invisiglass, no shaker motor. There's not a lot else that we take out of our games. We don't take the whole playfield out and all the toys that are different and everything like that. It would be a little bit less expensive for an operator. But what we have found, even with the Hobbit games we've built, the least amount of Hobbit games we sold are standards. The operators are buying LEs or SNAPs. So the operators are basically telling us with their wallet that they want a full-featured, high-end game that they want to operate, and they'll operate it for a period of time, and then of course they'll flip it and sell it to a home customer. Most of the operators are buying games with playfield protectors on it. And it's possible that our CE game would include radicals, things like that. I'm going to announce some other really cool collectible things on there, so you can justify the reason why it's collectible and why it's a little bit more money too. But expect to see three different models on these games, because we want to get all the market segments, and we all understand that everything is money is what it is. It's but we want to give you value. We want to give you a full-featured game worth what the price of the game is.
So, as a company, do you guys ever think about, besides the electronic guts of the machine, do you think about like coming out with a PDF where you can 3D print out most of the parts and assemble a pinball machine yourself at home?
In the year 2525. Well, it's a good idea. And you know what? Those guys in Holland, didn't they make pinball machines all 3D printed? Or those guys that made the prototype? Right, it's a little difficult. Who, Pat, you want to answer that? You're the 3D print guy.
I was one of those crazy early adopters. I have a 3D printer sitting on my desk at home. Couple of quick answers. The first quick answer is, if you had any idea at all what it took to get these in a box in the last week. The idea of us generating all of that stuff and then making it so it could be 3D.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they have like a PDF where you could, I don't know if you can do it anymore, but you could print out like a one-shot pistol at home and make a pistol.
Right.
So I'm not saying ship us all the parts. I'm saying if you have a 3D printer at home, you sell us the PDF and we print our own parts.
Yeah.
You sell us the electronics. We print out all the plastic, pretty much all the metal,
Right.
maybe using plastic parts.
Tell you what, there might be a different manufacturer or two that'll take you up on that idea. They might include leg bolts as an option and balls. So,
Yeah, no, I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying what you're saying, and I understand the technology exists to do that kind of thing. One thing to realize, though, about the inside of our games, if you take a look, we are far less of an injection molded, whatever company than we are a sheet metal company. The stuff that goes in our game, by and large, is huge quantities of stainless steel that's sitting there being able to absorb what the punishment that the ball is dealing out. And so while like tomorrow, I could wake up and Jack could say, oh, go ahead and put the diagram for the phone online, right? That wouldn't get you very far into building all the metal parts on the game. And they're pretty, there's some metal work on this game that impressed even me by our guys, so.
You never know what could happen. It's a really cool thing. When I saw 3D printers the first time, I said, gee, you know, every kid in the country, maybe many countries, will be printing out all their toys. You know, how cool would that be? You know, all kinds of things. I mean, I think it's going to just explode. It's just amazing. And all the different materials, you know, you can now send drawings to different companies, and they'll print metal for you. They'll print all kinds of materials for you, replacement parts. I know Pat made a part for what was it, Bonsai Run or something like that. Pat years ago made a part for Steve Epstein, one of his games in New York at Modern Pinball, because of course you couldn't get the part anymore. So Pat actually updated the part in a drawing, right? And printed it out and sent it to Steve as a little birthday gift. Right? So yeah, there's a lot of cool things that you can really do. Anyone question? Anybody else? So, what was it? Anita, you got a question? Yeah, no? How was the pizza? How was the pizza?
I really like that phone case. I'm wondering, you know, if I, for my own cell phone, if I get a phone case that's all blingy like that and I put it on there, you make one like that for me?
That would be a cool idea. Cool idea. All right, anybody else want to say anything? No? Other than thank you to everybody. We have those items up here. If you would, you know, bid if you want anything, and we'll put that for the charity. Martin, thank you for all you do again, and we'll see everybody inside.
I got one last thing. If you guys like the game, tell your friends.
Yeah, I mean, really.
If you got something you don't like in the game, tell us.
Tell us.
And we'll make sure it gets fixed, okay? Thank you for playing the game this week.